welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to talk about summer school and what to expect when taking summer school, specifically a math class. Since you are watching this channel, you're probably taking a math class. So I want to talk about what to expect when taking a math class over the summer, especially if you're new to taking college classes in general, or maybe this is your first summer out of high school and you're taking a math class right away. Maybe you've been in college a couple years and you just got to knock off one more class and this is your first time. But I want to talk about the expectations. And second, I want to talk about how to prepare yourself for math summer school, because it is very different than taking a class over the fall or spring. So let's start off with expectations, what you should expect work-wise. Let's think about this in terms of fall and spring. So in the fall and spring, let's just use 4 credit hours as our base credit hour amount, because most math classes are 4 credit hours. Some are 5, some are 3, but most are going to be about 4 credit hours. So let's just use that. In the fall or spring, a 4 credit hour class is going to meet 2 times a week for an hour 40 to an hour and 50. So let's just call it an hour 45 for 3.5 hours total. So twice a week, hour 45. That's 3.5 hours total of contact time in the classroom during a fall or spring semester. So now, think about that in summer school perspective. In summer school, you're taking a 16-week class, so in the fall or spring, 16 weeks, 3.5 hours a week, and you're condensing that down to probably 8 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, but let's just go with 8 weeks. So you're condensing a 16-week class down to 8 weeks. So let's do the math here. If I meet 3.5 hours a week during the fall or spring, I am now doing a week's worth of content every class session over the summer. So you're going to meet twice a week for 3.5 hours each day. Not a week, each day. So just for putting some sort of connection here, if I'm taking calculus or business calculus or Calc 2 over the summer, class is going to meet Monday, Wednesdays, or Tuesday, Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 11:30. Or some other time slot, but 3.5 hours per day. So if you come to your Tuesday class, and you sit there from 8 to 11:30, you have learned a week's worth of content in a single day. And then next class, that Thursday, you're learning another week. So you're doing 2 weeks in a single week. That's really hard to wrap your head around right away. It's really hard to get an expectation of how much work is this going to actually be until you actually sit there and you physically go through the class for a week and see how much time is spent in the classroom in addition to the outside. So let's talk about outside of that class time. So you've met from 8 to 11:30 on Tuesday. Now what? Now what do you do? What do you do with your time? You just did a week's worth of content in a single session. So now you have the battle of tackling homework and studying. Because if you think about the fall and spring, when you meet your class for the week in the fall or spring, you have a lot more time to prepare, do homework. You only have 2 sections or 3 sections to go over while you do your homework. And for those of you who procrastinate till the very end, you only have so much work to do in that last minute. But if you're taking a summer class, each day is a week's worth of content. So then the next class, now you have 2 weeks worth of content to have to tackle. So that's another expectation that you really want to make sure you're understanding, is that there's going to be a lot of extra work outside of that 3.5 hour class session. Because in a 3.5 hour class session, you're probably going to get through about 2 to 3 sections during that one session. And then another 2 or 3 sections in the next section, or the next session 2 days later, or a day later. I don't know how your summer school works, but you're going to have 7 hours of contact time in the classroom per week in summer school. Tack on that the homework that comes with that 7 hours, the studying that comes with the 7 hours. And depending on your summer school structure, you're going to have some quizzes that very next class. So you're going to do 3 sections on Tuesday. You should expect a quiz probably at the very next class. Sometimes, like when I teach summer school, I try not to do an exam like the immediate next class. So if I do a couple sections on that Tuesday, I try not to do Thursday of an exam. I try to at least give them a week of prep. And I know it's summer school, so like a week later is like we're really getting down the line. But that is a really quick turnaround from Tuesday to Thursday to have an exam. But I'm not saying it's not possible, but that's something that you got to expect also. So how to tackle this? Like, how do I go into that classroom and tackle 8 weeks of college algebra when I don't even like math? How am I going to do this? It's really all mental. I taught summer school. I remember this very specific story. I taught summer school my very first summer teaching business calc in person over the summer in 2019. And it was the first day of class. The student missed. Then they emailed me just some excuse of why they couldn't make it. The next class they were there. And I remember just taking a moment. I gave them a break after an hour and a half. Like, it was just like a 5-10 minute break. And I just overheard, because they were sitting right next to me, I overheard the student say to the person sitting next to them, he's like, "What time does this class go till?" And then the student next to him said, "Oh, 11:30." And it was only like 9:30 at the time. And you could just tell, like, in his head, he was not ready. The expectation was not there for him. He wasn't ready. That's all it was. It was just mentally, he was not ready to commit 7 hours in a classroom of learning calculus. That's a lot. And especially if you're going in there not ready for it and not looking forward to it. And if you are somebody who's not looking forward to taking a math summer class, like, that's completely fine. But I want to just share with you a couple ways that you can maybe look forward to it or just enjoy it a little bit more. And the first way is just know, like, why are you in this class? Why are you giving up 8 weeks of your summer to sit in a classroom learning a subject that you don't even like? Or maybe you do like it, but maybe you don't. Why are you doing that? Some cases are, well, I changed my major, I need calculus or college algebra or business calc in order to start on my path this fall at my new school, or maybe you changed majors. Like, for me, I took Calculus 1 over the summer because I switched my major a semester late. So in the spring, I had to double up on college algebra and trig at the same time. And then the summer, I took Calc 1, fall, Calc 2, spring, Calc 3, just to make sure I got out of my community college after that 2 years. Like, I didn't want to extend it anymore because then that would have packed on an extra year potentially on my education. So I wanted to get it all done. So just that was the reason. I didn't really want to take calc over the summer. Like, that's tough. That's a lot of work. But I knew that's what I had to do. So you got to just keep telling yourself that. That's the most important thing. You got to see, why am I sitting here? What do I need this for? Because if you don't pass this class, then you're potentially going to derail your education for an extra semester or potentially a year. So that's the forefront. That's what you need to be thinking about right in the front of your mind, is just, why am I here? The second, just to make it a little bit more enjoyable for yourself, buy some new class materials. Like, go out, buy a fancy pencil. Like, every fall semester, I always go out, buy new notebooks. I buy a new planner. I even buy new pencils. So I like these kind of pencils, these mechanical pencils. I have a couple of them. I always buy a new pack no matter what. Even I have like a collection now of like 15 to 20 mechanical pencils that I don't all use, but I like the feeling of buying a new pencil and just having something to look forward to writing things down. Like, I don't know, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable. It gives me a little bit more fun of having something like that. And maybe that doesn't work for you, but maybe give it a shot. Just go out, buy some new stuff, go to Target, and just buy some new materials. I think that will just give you a little bit more organization, and you step foot in that class, and you have your new materials, your new gear, and you're ready to learn. But most importantly, I think if you just really remember why you're doing this, you'll get through it. But yeah, so to wrap up this video, you're taking 16 weeks of content, condensing it down to 8 weeks. So you gotta expect fast pace. You gotta expect a lot of homework to be attached to that. You gotta expect a lot of outside study time. And just setting a schedule, like setting a schedule for yourself, knowing every Monday and Wednesday I have this night class I got to go to for 2.5, 3.5 hours, whatever the time is. So the next morning I'll knock out all my homework, and then the afternoon I'll study, and then that way I'm ready for my next day's worth of class. Like, something. Set up a schedule for yourself. It's very difficult in the summer to just go with it. Just, I'll get it done some other time, because it's the summer. Like, you're going to want to go out and do things and hang out with friends, or go to sporting events, whatever you want to do. Go to the park, like, hang out and not do math. But you got to set a schedule. That's definitely something that I should have emphasized a little bit earlier, but setting a schedule. Just setting aside 4 hours every morning for math, or 4 hours every night for math. That will just make it a lot more manageable, and you won't get behind. Because if you miss a class session, one single class session in the summer, you've missed an entire week in the fall or spring. If you miss a whole entire week in the summer, then you're really in trouble. So set up a schedule, plan ahead, and be ready. So if you have any suggestions to somebody taking summer school math, if you've taken it before, leave a comment. But I hope this video is helpful, and good luck.